Hey, welcome to A Game for Your Nightmares. Today we're talking about Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon. So Dark Moon follows Luigi as he has to go across Evershade Valley to each of the 5 mansions to find the parts of the broken Dark Moon after it's mysteriously destroyed. And when it's destroyed, the ghosts working for Professor Egad go berserk. So now Luigi must fight against the ghosts, find the Dark Piece, and figure out what in the world is going on. Fortunately for me, this is a little bit of a rough one, so let's buckle right in. So this game is set up that you go to Professor Egad in his laboratory and he tells you what's going on in the mansion. Then you have to go into the mansion and do some sort of objective or have a main goal. And you go around the mansion and exploring and figuring out puzzles and catching ghosts, and you just kind of go through and do the thing while checking things off on your to-do list. Well, every mansion has the main goal of finding the Dark Moon piece. There's always something that goes wrong or something that ends up being in the way, and so now you have to go around the mansion and complete a bunch of different tasks that end up working towards collecting that Dark Moon piece at the end of the mansion. This formula I felt like could have worked really well, but for me it really killed the pace of this game. I really loved in the first game how it just flowed and moved so well, and you explored and went like room to room, and it just had a really solid pacing. But I feel like this game, jumping back and forth between the mansion and the lab, just really kills the pacing. I never really get sucked into the environment of the mansion because I'm so busy jumping back and forth that I just never really get into the level, you know? Here in Dark Moon, there are 5 mansions, and you never really spend enough time in any of them to really get familiar with them. I feel like it's always over far too soon, but also at the same time, I'm kind of glad it is because I kind of got sick of each mansion by the end of it. I was like, all right, let's just do something new. I just really wasn't into it. This game could have greatly benefited by having the mansions be opened for you to explore. And the professor contacts you every now and then, is like, hey, here's what's going on, go do this, or go check this out. Things like that, and just really let the mansion be open to your exploration. And there are certain parts that are like blocked off and you need to complete something else before you unlock that part. And it just would have been really awesome if this was a little bit more open. I do understand that this is a 3DS title, and so it's meant for like shorter gameplay sessions, but still, even then, I feel like it really cuts the pacing if you play for 10 minutes and put it down for several hours and then come back and pick it back up and play for 10 more minutes. I just feel like it isn't a really good formula. I think it would have been awesome if, like I said, it was open and you could find a Toad and save, and then when you reload your game, Toad's like, hey, this is what was going on, just so you know, or this was your objective. Things like that could have let this be open while still giving you the ability to play on a 3DS and still play those shorter game segments, but have it still open. Catching ghosts in this game does have its downfalls too. There are a whopping 4 types of ghosts in this game in comparison to the original game's 8 or 9 different types of ghosts. And even those had a little bit of variety within themselves. But here in Dark Moon, it's just the same 4 ghost types, and they're rarely a threat. And the fighting ghosts themselves in this game is just so basic. There's no skill required, and it's not difficult at all. All you gotta do is flash them with the light bulb, suck them up with the vacuum, wait for the meter to fill up, and then just hit A and knock out most of their health in one go. And it just isn't engaging. It isn't fun or skillful or really that interesting. The only thing that really mixes it up is later in the game, the ghosts get more health. And the small green ghosts put on little costumes, but most of the costumes require the same techniques or patterns and things like that, and really aren't that interesting, and just doesn't really enhance the gameplay in any meaningful way. The boss fights at the end of the mansions themselves really aren't that memorable either. I honestly, playing through this, I forgot about most or all of them. The only one I really remember is the giant staircase, and I actually really enjoyed that one. And other than that, I really didn't remember any or all of these boss fights, and it was just really unfortunate because the first game had really memorable boss fight characters. You remember Bugmire or Bulasis. You just remember these characters because they're memorable moments in that game and they really stand out. But here, nothing really stands out. Graphically, this is a 3DS game, so there really isn't much to it. It's definitely limited by its hardware, but I do feel like that graphics and like the sound and the visuals are honestly one of the better parts of this game, and I did appreciate that. In the end, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is summed up by one word: pretty forgettable. I guess that's 2 words. But still, it's a pretty forgettable experience. Replaying through this, I was just like, I don't remember any of this. It just was so forgettable. And it was very unfortunate because the first game was great and it had a lot of potential for the sequel, especially almost 10 years later after the original. There was so much room to improve and grow. And I will certainly give this game credit for doing something different than the original. It expanded upon it and did something different. I just feel like it didn't always land for me, and it was very unfortunate because I really did want to enjoy this game because the original Luigi's Mansion is one of my favorites. I love that game, and it's so enjoyable. I just definitely feel like the sequel is thoroughly inferior to the original. Dark Moon is easily the weakest of the Luigi's Mansion games, and I didn't even mention the dog missions. The dog missions are terrible. I hated them so much, of how he would go in a room and then immediately leave, so then you'd have to leave, and then he'd go back in. It was just so frustrating. I hated it. I hated the dog, except for he was really cute, so it was okay, but still, ugh. Hey, thank you so much for watching A Game for Your Nightmares. I hope you enjoyed my video on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. So let me know down in the tombs below what you thought of the game. And if you want to sell your soul to the channel and subscribe, that would be very much appreciated. And if you want to see more of me, I'm over on Twitch at twitch.tv/agameforyourthoughts. I'm streaming there all the time, and I'm just dying to see you there. So thanks again for watching the video. I hope you have a spooky day, and we'll see you guys next time on A Game for Your Nightmares.